Okay, okay. I think what it was I needed. There's this issue I've been having with OBS where like it needs to be started, switched over to the scene, and then closed and then opened again. It's this weird issue. I don't know if it's because of the dual GPU. I think probably I've never had this problem before, so that's one of the little kind of like drawbacks of having a dual GPU is you sometimes get little issues like that. But yeah, sorry Twitch, you guys didn't get to hear my little speech about Beastmaster, but it's on my YouTube, so make sure to check. It should be on my YouTube anyway. You should be on my YouTube anyway. YouTube.com/at rebeccaloran. It's the same name as on Twitch, so it's my name. Okay, so you know we're gonna be playing Final Fantasy 11. I'm gonna be leveling Beastmaster. I never thought I would level Beastmaster again, but here we are. It's just too useful. It's too useful. You have BCNMs, you got all sorts of stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna be leveling Beastmaster again. Okay, so we'll do it. And it's not like it's like, oh no, boo-hoo, Beastmaster. Beastmaster is great. I love Beastmaster. I would love to, it's gonna be a little bit difficult being low level again, but it was 10 years ago that I last leveled Beastmaster. So we got to do it again, but this time on Horizon. So, hooray! Hooray for Horizon. Oh my goodness. Yeah, obviously. I got things I got to do in the game that are just taking up, a lot of different tasks I got to do. Leveling up Beastmaster. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't save my pivot setup. And I could have sworn Tarongi Canyon had Horizon music, but I guess not. I guess not. Yeah, either way, we're just chilling. Okay. Also, probably I'll be able to talk regularly instead of like a crazy person. Okay, yeah, we're just chilling. Yeah, right here in Tarongi Canyon, I'm gonna get like these decent challenges. Sometimes. So I am level 12. Okay. It's good to know what level we are. Okay, well, I do need to charm one of these guys. Okay. Okay. Hey, what's up, Truly Ella? How you doing? We're just playing Beastmaster. Getting my beast on. Oh, shit. Okay. I might die because of a grenade. Okay. Unless it blows up. Where's the... Oh, can I just kill the initiate? Come on. Oh, gotta move my... Oh, my pet's dead already. Oh, fuck. I'm gonna die, aren't I? Oh, no, there's a mendicant. I'm gonna die. Okay, I did. Okay. Just subbed and liked. Oh. Well, I died for you, truly, Ella. Did I turn off the music? Is that what happened? Oh. Okay, now we're chilling. We're chilling. Alrighty. Alrighty, alrighty. Well, we're gonna have to go back to Taronga Canyon. So, let me just go check the, have anything I can put up? Probably should have used the re-razor. Oh well. Yeah, I've been trying to adjust to like how things have been going on. I've been playing the game a lot, and it's just it's a little hard sometimes when you get that feeling where it's like you feel like a degenerate because you're gaming so much, but sometimes you have to feel like a degenerate, you know, if that makes any sense. Like, it kind of reminds us that life isn't, we take ourselves so seriously, I think. Like, I think sometimes we just take our lives way too seriously. And I think getting yourself into a, like, hey, just hang out, play the video game, and just accept that, hey, sometimes you just need some time, you know? Like, I've been living on survival mode for so long. I don't remember what it's like to just not be, like, responsible for anything. Oh, I know what's okay. I was wondering what was going on. My screen, I lowered my screen brightness, so I need to raise it back. Okay. And now I know what happened. Is I was at night I lowered the brightness. Duh. Duh. Yeah, like I was like barely able to see my screen. Like, come on. I was like, oh yeah, because I raised the brightness down. Well, I raised the brightness to 0. Yeah, we're back in Vanadil. We're really getting ourselves into it long term. That's really what I'm doing. You know, back on the Beastmaster grind. But this time we're not playing on Nosomi. Nosomi was really weird, is one way to put it. Beastmaster was not really Beastmaster. It was by the time I hit like level 60 or so. By the time I hit level 60, he fixed it. So honestly, like, I really did get like mostly the Beastmaster experience because the broken parts of it weren't really until like level 75. But the fact that like I was playing like a really hacked custom version of Beastmaster. And I think Horizon, from what I can tell, they really fixed it up for Era Plus in a way that doesn't completely break it, I don't think. You're the only one here? Well, you're not the only one here, because I'm here. Truly, Ella, I'm sorry that there's nobody to talk to. You can talk to me. You can talk to me. No, the camera's here too. So, you know, always remember that there's a camera. You know, I think a lot of people don't really understand, like, just because there's nobody watching doesn't mean that there's no reason, that there's not a reason to, think about your content. And it's like, a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll make YouTube shorts out of my live stream. And so it's like, yeah, it might not be the absolute best content, but I'm getting into a sustainable mindset where even though at this exact moment I might not be... Oops, did I accidentally go to Goosterberg? I meant to go to Kolshushu, and I don't even have an instant warp. Duh! Well, I guess we're going to the Wadi. Yeah, we're going to Dangroof Wadi this time, I guess. I guess there's more goblins there anyway. Yeah, so it's like, it's really important for me to communicate that just because my viewers might not understand why I do something, they think that just because I'm live streaming that means that you should only talk to people who are there. We live in a content creator economy where external clips are really what drives the content, not necessarily the live version of the content. Yeah, it is special when you have people that you can interact with directly, but I think like a content creator. I don't think like a person, because I'm not a person. I'm not a regular person. Let's just put that out there. I'm a freak of nature, and that's okay. It's actually really good, because that makes me a content creator. Content creators think differently. We don't think about, oh, this is just a throwaway interaction. Every single interaction with the camera can potentially be content. Even if like right now at this exact moment, the content that I'm making is definitely low quality, but it's the mindset that I'm building, not necessarily the content at this exact moment. The content will just evolve naturally as I grow that muscle. Do you understand? So it's like, I can think in a way where it's called future orientation. And it's how I got through everything I've been through. It's how I got through my surgeries. It's how I got through everything. In order to get housing in this situation that I'm living in right now. So the thing that keeps you psychologically resilient, and this is shown in all sorts of different kinds of research about psychological resilience and anything like that, like through trauma, through anything like that, is that when you hold future orientation as a firm non-negotiable in your life, things start to happen. Because instead of feeling stuck in the moment, stuck in this exact reality, you're thinking about a future reality. You're thinking about potential. You're thinking about what could be. Because inside of your heart, in your soul, you know that you're valuable. You know that you have something to offer the world. Even if everybody around you disagrees, you know that you do. And eventually you will become the person that the other people that are saying you're a loser, you don't even care what they think, because eventually they're going to change their mind anyway. So who cares what they think? They're so like, it may as well be random. Like they are going to change their opinion about you in a blink of an eye. So the only person's opinion that matters is yours, because if theirs changes based on whatever they're put in front of them, then all you have to do is change what you put in front of them. So even if it takes 5, 6, 7, 10 years to become a better content creator, which I doubt it will be. I mean, technically it has been. It's been about 7 years that I've been a content creator. But I haven't been building, oh yeah, let's, if I was putting my self-worth on what my view count was, I wouldn't be going anywhere, because I have now dire wires here. Yeah, we have a couple of people here, and that matters. But if I put my self-worth into how many people are here, well, that's a really stupid metric to use. Hey, what's up, Mr. Casey? How you doing? Welcome back. I don't know if you've been here since I've been back, but look, I got a new place. I'm not in that trailer anymore, buddy. Let's go. I'm gone forever. I'm never going back. I'm never going to have to see my dad ever again. I put that behind me. I'm in a new place. Everything's better. And we're playing some Final Fantasy XI. Let's go. Leveling up Beastmaster. Was going to go to Tarongi Canyon, but I accidentally went to North Goosterberg. So now We're going to hang out in the Dangrove Wadi. This place is a good place. I don't know how long it'll last necessarily, but I just need to find at least some decent challenges for pets. Yeah. So like basically I am a performance artist. That is the identity, not I am a streamer with X viewers. Like, because what if that changes? What if I get 0 viewers? Do I suddenly have 0 worth? No, because I identify with my nature, who I am. And you could even go further than that and more like metaphysical, that I'm not even a performance artist. I'm a soul that inhabits this, you know, physical body. But let's not go there right now. But basically, I am a performance artist. I always have been. I have been since I first understood what the nature of performance is. And we're all performers, really. If you want to get right down to brass tacks, like, we're all performance artists on this planet since we are born. We put a performance for the people around us. We show a version of ourselves that isn't really who we are, because that's just how we survive. People see what they want to see and they think what they want to think, and we have no way of knowing what that is. So we have to create a mask for them to interact with. Because if we don't, like, we aren't able to really, like, get around. And I'm an autistic person, so that's even more of a profound thing for me, because if I don't perform, I face repercussions because I don't fit into the standard social norm. The expectations on this earth are set around a neurotypical framework, one that I am literally incapable of fulfilling. Some people might call you delusional, but it's like, this is what you need to understand, is that they don't see all the information that you have access to. People will see a small snapshot of what's going on in your life. They see somebody playing a video game on YouTube. You got pushed to second place? Oh no. People will see, you know, like an autistic woman playing Final Fantasy XI in her pajamas on YouTube, and they immediately have all sorts of assumptions about what's going on. You have no idea what's going on. I could be filming content that millions of people are going to be watching. You have no idea. It's not about, like, what's happening in this exact moment, because I'm building something even when I'm not streaming. I'm building who I am. And the reason I go live is so that I can maintain that heartbeat. I haven't gone live in, I think, like, over a week. And that bothers me. And why does it bother me? It bothers me because I'm a content creator. It's not that you're not a content creator because you make content. I know it's hard to wrap your head around this, but you're a content creator because if you don't make content, you go insane. It's not even about the quality of the content. It's not about the message you're trying to send. It's not about any of this stuff that artists will talk about. Obviously, it's about those things too, but the core nature of what makes you a content creator is that if you don't, you have no reason to live. That it's literally as simple as that. You do it because you have to. And even if you're not even really making content that you feel is valuable, you show up anyway. And interestingly enough, what I just said is very YouTube short worthy. So right now I just made content. Boom. content. Everything that you do on camera is potential content. And as soon as you start thinking that way, you start feeling like an artist, and you start feeling less like somebody who's trying to grind, right? If you want to grind, play a goddamn video game. Do what I'm doing in Final Fantasy right now. Like, if you want to grind, get on Beastmaster, okay? If you want to actually be a content creator, figure out who you are. That's how you become an artist. It has nothing to do with the content you make. Like, obviously it has everything to do with it, but if that makes any sense. It's just one of those things that not everybody understands. A lot of people want to be YouTubers. A lot of people want to be streamers. They see big streamers getting, millions of subscribers, getting brand deals, all sorts of merchandise and sponsorships, ad revenue, direct donations. Everybody sees that. Okay, let's not pretend that anybody is not thinking about those. Yeah, there might be a few random individuals who don't think about those things, but they're probably in like less than 1% of the population. There are people who probably don't even know what's going on in their surroundings, like people who don't even know what city they're in. Anybody who knows what they're doing is doing it for career growth, no matter how humble they pretend to be. And I'm not saying that they're fake. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing either. I'm just saying that at some level, you're trying to grow something. And it's a good thing. That's what art is. You are growing your expression. You are growing your ability to put something out into the world. That's beautiful. It's not shallow. It's not it's consumerism, it's capitalism. It's like, no, that is a side effect of like whatever the world's economy is. That has nothing to do with the reason we do it. The reason you do it is because you want to be able to become the best version of yourself who is able to express yourself in the most fundamentally true way possible. And find your vision. Even if your vision sucks, at least you can do it and get it out of the way. And then move on to the next one that might suck, that will definitely suck. And then you do the next thing. And then you do the next thing. And then that's what content creation is. Yeah, some people are able to get success extremely early, but there are still those who get success early, but then crumble because they are not truly aware of what their identity is as a content creator, as a performance artist. Literally, you could it's hard to wrap your head around what constitutes performance. Because literally me talking about my authentic experience and my authentic life is still a performance. Even having a casual conversation with somebody is a performance. That's why podcasts do so well. Yes, it's possible to do a more performative version of that, and good podcasters do. But fundamentally, if you're performing well enough, people won't even think that you're performing. Actors know this. In fact, you see a lot of things that happens in their real life. And I don't want to get too crazy here because it gets into a blurred line where it's like, well, who am I to say what's real and what isn't? Because maybe they are struggling with certain things. But I would venture to guess that at least a certain percentage of things that you see happen to celebrities publicly, maybe not a large percentage, maybe even like a minuscule percentage, but no matter who you are, no matter how famous or not famous you are, every time you talk to another person, you're performing. And I think performance artists, we understand this and we don't pretend that it's not true. We learn how to use it. And it's like most people don't think about these things. That's because they're not performance artists. But when people see a small streamer, they think that that means that I am just somebody that's going to be their friend. You should treat me the same way you treat like a famous person. You know, mostly for yourself, so that you have, you know, a healthy mindset about things. But also, because just because you think I'm not aware of things, you know, just because you think I'm an amateur, just because you think I'm not aware of the reality of what performance art is, doesn't mean I'm not. I've been doing it my whole entire life. Just because I don't have the numbers doesn't mean I don't know what I'm doing, because I'm doing things with intention. When I go live, I'm not trying to just be your friend. I'm not just hanging out and chatting on the phone. If I did, that'd be a disservice to the people in my personal life, because I do that with them. I don't do that with you. I'm sorry. When I come here, I'm putting a performance hat on. It may not be what you think is performance, but it still is. And I think people get this into their heads that they see somebody with small view count, and some people say, oh, I can take advantage of this person. Well, fuck you, because I'm, first of all, not going to be able to be taken advantage of. You're not going to appeal to my, you're not going to be like, oh, look, I'm going to dangle some money in front of you so you can dance like a monkey. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay, like, no. Like, I'm not going to get, you know, like some symbols and, you know, be like a spider monkey. Okay, like that's I'm not going to be dancing around for you. Okay, like if I do, it's because I want to, not because somebody is giving, like, oh, look, here's $5, here's $5, eat a banana. You know, like, come on. I am a performance artist. I do things because I want to build my craft as an actress, as a dancer, as a model. Okay, I am not your personal, you know, entertainment that you can just throw money at me. It better be a lot of money. Okay. You know, everyone has a number. Okay, let's just be real. But in the end of the day, I still won't accept it if it's not something that aligns with my values. Do you understand? Getting money for something does not imply that you disrespect yourself. I don't know why people have it in their head that if you're getting paid for something, that it must be because you're debasing yourself. You do this every day at your job. You go to every day from 9 to 5 busting your ass for some employer that is getting paid more than you and does less work than you. I mean, not all the time, but using your labor for a paycheck to barely make ends meet. And you're saying that I'm debasing myself for entertaining people for donations. I'm not entertaining people for donations. The donations are a side effect. Do you understand? So I don't know why people think that anybody performing for somebody, if it's with money, then they're not an artist, they're debasing themselves. That's ridiculous. We live in a capitalist society. Money makes the world go round, and money is a very good incentive. Money is a very good indicator of success too. I know people don't like to accept it, but if somebody's giving you money, you're doing something good because you're providing value. Enough money, enough value for a stranger on the internet to give you money. Do you understand how meaningful that is? Like, it's extremely hard for people to want to give money to somebody. But if you provide value, they will do it. And so it's like, it's a good way of saying, how am I doing? It's not the only way, because you could be making money but not necessarily be a good artist. You know, those are the things that you know, you have to keep like a little bit of a reality check. You know, just because you're making money doesn't mean anything except that you have enough value that people will give you money for it. That's all it means. It doesn't have any other attachment to it. It does somewhat, but I think people have a hard time understanding that when it comes to me, I think much deeper than you might be aware. I think like I treat my live stream and I treat my content as if I already had millions of followers. Some people might call it delusional, but I just think it's inevitable that you should think about it that way, because isn't that what you're trying to do? So you should treat it as if it's true already, not in a delusional way, but in a way that like, hey, I am making content. My intent is to get as many people to interact with it as possible. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm not performing. It doesn't mean my performance is like top tier by any stretch. Like literally me talking into the camera while playing a video game is performance. Because normally I don't play this game with the camera on. Normally I play by myself, just like kind of focusing, you know, vibing, you know. I'm, you know, not to say that I'm not vibing now, but there is definitely more effort being put into this right now because I'm mainly focusing on talking to you instead of playing the game so much. Because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to maintain a heartbeat on my identity as an artist. And it's hard sometimes because sometimes you're going to have to phone it in and learn how to be okay with that. Getting over my ego. It's harder than we like to admit. Getting over your ego? Because what the worst part is when you fool yourself into thinking you don't have one. Everyone does. You look in the mirror for a reason. You want people to like you. Everybody does. It's basic survival. You might pretend that you don't, and that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you, but everybody in some level. Now, I think people jump to conclusions, and when they hear things like everybody cares about what people think, there's different levels of that, and it could be so small as to be meaningless. Like, oh, you care what people think in the sense that you want people to know that you're smiling, that you're happy, you know, like, and how you do that will change depending on the individual. Some people let people, like, especially as an autistic person, there's people on the spectrum that communicate differently. And sometimes in order for people to know that they're happy, because it's, if you really want to think about it, let's like kind of dissect this for a minute. And I'm trying to think about like why like autistic communication types exist. Let's make a hypothetical autistic person that is very happy, but because of this individual's, let's talk about an autistic male, for example, because that's usually what people think about when they think of autistic behavior. They think of like autistic men. Like, you know, everyone has like, you know, the you know, stereotype of like, you know, Rain Man and all that kind of stuff. So what if there's an autistic man and he doesn't show his emotions? And when he doesn't show his emotions, people think he's angry. But he's not angry, he's happy. So he learns how to start clapping his hands so that people know he's happy. Everyone thinks, oh, it's a special needs person that likes to clap his hands. No, it's because if he didn't, you would think that he's mad. Because his resting face might look angry. And it's not even his fault. It's not even because he's autistic, to be honest. There's plenty of like neurotypical people that have like resting bitch faces, okay? Like, it doesn't make them angry. It doesn't make them bad people. Just because you have a face. Like, come on. But this hypothetical autistic man that we're talking about, who he doesn't really show his emotions. It doesn't mean he doesn't have them. So he will learn that if he wants people to know that he's okay, like people he cares about, he doesn't want people worrying about him. So he learns how to behave a different way. So he starts clapping when he's happy. Because then it's like, oh, like, you know, Bob is happy because he's clapping. It's easier for a stranger to understand that. obviously people that are close to this individual don't need that. And that's what masking is. Because like a person who doesn't need to mask, like they don't have to spend all this energy trying to communicate these things, because they know that the person who understands them doesn't need all that. And it's like such a relief, because you're able, and I know this is kind of a weird example. It's not always that clean cut. Because sometimes, like, yeah, doing something like clapping or like dancing around, those things tell people that you're happy. But what if it's more complicated than showing people that you're happy? What if it's trying to communicate, showing people that you understand some complex emotion that is very difficult to show with physical movement? And that's kind of where it gets more complex. Because how am I supposed to show somebody that I understand that they're annoyed with me for my behavior? Use your words, you know, but sometimes people don't accept your words. It gets really complicated. And I stopped, I wouldn't say I stopped caring, but I would say that I stopped blaming myself for not being perfect, because a lot of the times you're going to spend a lot of energy trying to convince other people of all sorts of things so that they can feel better, but you're also now deciding how they feel. And it's like, well, you can't possibly know how they feel. So how about I just stop caring and just wait until people actually bring things up? Well, that's another issue, because sometimes people don't bring things up. And this is something that's really hard for non-autistic people to understand. They're saying, oh, why do you care what people think? Why do you care what people think? Because it's like, oh, if we were mad, we would tell you. They say all sorts of, neurotypical people will say all these things. They'll say, oh, I would tell you. No, you wouldn't, because there's so much communication where you say one thing and mean another. And as an autistic person, that's exhausting. How am I supposed to decode what you're trying to say? Because sometimes people will tell you exactly what they mean. They say, oh, no, I'm fine. You're fine. You're not doing anything wrong. Of course you're doing something wrong, because they're bothered by it. And they just don't have the guts to tell you that. And it hurts you. And they're not aware of this. So it's not really their fault. I'm not trying to say that they're like being evil or whatever. It's just that people will say all sorts of things, and it's frustrating when you don't know which ones are genuine and which ones are just things that they're just saying to be nice. And it gets way more complex than a simple like white lie, like, oh yeah, you look pretty. Like, okay, well, maybe you look pretty, maybe you look like terrible, okay, but it's way more complex than that, because it could be something like you are completely like undermining somebody else's boundaries and you're not even aware of it, because they're communicating in a way where they're not letting you know that you are bothering them. And it's frustrating, because then they expect you to pick up on it, and when you don't, then they really get mad at you, even when they weren't mad at you to begin with. But because they expect autistic people to pick up on these like little teeny tiny clues, now suddenly the autistic individual is an asshole, according to them. Like, oh, why didn't you get it? Why didn't you pick up on it? I told you these things. And it's like, yeah, because I was listening to you, because I'm a good listener. And they don't expect that. They expect people to not listen. And so they picked up a neurotypical communication style that basically assumes that people are making things up to you. And when they meet an autistic person, they might not always be aware of how genuine you are. Most autistic people I've met are pretty damn genuine people. They will tell you exactly what's on their mind. They won't fool around. They're not going to lie to you. They're not going to ignore you. They're going to listen to everything you say, and they're going to actually care about what you say. And it's hard for a neurotypical person who has been used to people who are manipulators. They see that behavior and their automatic assumption is manipulator, instead of a beautiful human being who actually listens to me. And it's really hard sometimes, because the same behavior that could be seen as a beautiful, intentional connection could be seen as, oh, this person is exhibiting the same behavior I've seen in people who have manipulated me. They must be a manipulator. And it's really frustrating. You get mad at people, don't tell them about it, and then let it go so I don't jeopardize the relationship by being mad. Yeah, but then it's like, what ends up happening is that sometimes it's tricky. Because most of the time, yeah, it's not worth sweating over the small stuff. Internal LOL intensifies. Welcome back, by the way. Do you see the new place? You see that I'm not living in the trailer anymore? Obviously, not sweating the small stuff. Like getting mad at somebody for hey, why didn't you put that file on the desk or whatever? Like, hey, maybe figure out a system where there's no confusion. Like, hey, every employee needs to put this in this basket rather than me asking them to put it on my desk. How about I just have an automatic system where everybody knows that their work goes in this specific basket, and then it's up to me to go through that basket rather than putting the onus on the employee. Just make them say, hey, you have a system, put it in this box, your job is done. It has nothing to do with oh yeah, you have to meet me for lunch, and then we have to talk about it, and then you have to hand it to me during this weird encounter. I know this is pretty obvious when I'm talking about employee relation stuff, business related stuff, because that's straightforward and obvious. But I'm trying to illustrate the point that if you were in an office situation, you wouldn't have this weird custom every single time you have to have this different way of handing them the documents. You would hand them the documents the same way every goddamn time. You would have a box that they put it into. You would have a format for the documents. Oh, they have to put this in this column, this in this column, and but in real life and relationships, people don't do that. People have oh yeah, you have to meet me at this weird location. We have to talk about our feelings. We have to say a whole bunch of things, and you can't give me the documents until the time is right. But I'm not going to tell you when the time is right. I'm going to let you figure that out. That's the difference that autistic people have to think about. Because we don't know what the instructions are. Hey, what's up, Serene-chan? How you doing? Welcome back, welcome back. I'm good, I'm really good. I haven't really been going live lately. I've been doing a lot of personal processing because I finally moved out of that trailer, and now I'm trying to learn what it is to be normal. I never knew what normal is my whole entire life. I've talked about this for the past 7 years on my stream. I've never had a normal life. I've never had a life without trauma, without abuse. I've never had a situation where it's not going to be taken away from me, where it's not going to be, I'm not going to get tricked. This isn't a temporary situation. This isn't somebody going to trick me and take it away from me. Yeah, I remember, because your name has Nei-chan in it. Serene-chan. There's no 6-foot tile of chairs and ketchup bottles. What? There's no 6-foot tall pile of chairs and we're talking about the trailer. I thought you were talking about the office situation. I'm like, what? In the hypothetical I was giving. I'm like, what? Okay, you just tell him, you tell an autistic employee to put everything in the box. Now they're putting ketchup bottles and chairs. I can picture like a TV show where it's you have a boss, who's like autistic, but then only hires autistic employees. And so this would be a cool show. Like, hire only autistic people, like autistic actors. This would be awesome. So it'd be like me as like the boss lady, and I'd be like running like a business. Like I'd be the boss. And like I would be like, okay, I understand that we all work differently, so I'm gonna make this very systematic for all of you. But it backfires because there's an employee and she's like walking past something, she sees the ketchup bottle, grabs it, puts it in the thing, and she's like, I did a good job. But then it gets sillier and sillier. But then you find out she's aware of what she's doing, and she's just trying to be ironic. Like at the beginning, everyone's like, "Oh, she just doesn't get it," and then she picks up that they think that, and she's like, "Okay." Like that'd be a funny sitcom, or like it would be like The Office, but like autism. That'd be a fun show. Like 100% autistic cast. That'd be awesome. Like every single person on the show is autistic. That'd be crazy awesome. Like, or, the neurotypical people who are there are like people who are very good at what they're doing. Which would make it hard to believe that they're not on the spectrum, to be honest. Like, so the whole thing about a spectrum is that there's so many different types of people. How could you not know that I wanted you to make a tall, unstable pile of furniture, then cover it with precariously arranged glass bottles full of high stain value liquids? Are you Oh yeah, and at the end I'd be like, Heather's the only one who understood the instructions. I'm ashamed of all of you. She did exactly what I said. And this was a trust exercise. Like at the end, like the whole gag, like the whole joke of the entire episode would be that you think that she's misinterpreting it. But then I would flip it around in the finale that she was the only one following the actual instructions because it was a trust exercise. It was like I'm trying to build trust in each other. Like this is how we run. We have to know that when I give instructions, you do exactly as I say. Heather gets the promotion. I'm ashamed of all of you. And like, yeah, looking at the wall, I'm ashamed of, and oh yeah, it would show me talking very passionately, but then it would pan out and the camera would show me talking to the wall. And there's like people, there's like people on like a Zoom call. And then there's like someone like in the back, like playing a video game. Like, and there's all sorts of things you could do, right? And it would be made by an autistic person with autistic writers, with autistic actors, and also autistic production crew. Like, imagine 100% autistic production. Like, wouldn't that be crazy? Am I crazy? I would like to see that happen. Like, everyone's always talking about, oh, we need diversity, we need all these kind of things. And then it's like, well, let's actually, like, do it. Because it's like, it doesn't mean, people are always saying, like, oh, like, we need more. This is, like, authentic representation. And it's not like you're, like, forcing it. It's like you're just doing it because it is, like, the right thing to do. Like if you want to actually make like an authentic representation of the autistic experience, then why not involve 100% autistic people, like every single part of the production? I mean, yeah, people are going to be like, obviously there's always going to be people who are more focused on the emotional community impact part of that. And I'm not going to shit on that, obviously. But you mistakenly deleted one of your messages? I could be in that show. I don't know whether I'm autistic, but I have trouble understanding sarcasm, so we could make something funny with that. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, sometimes I know it's kind of a controversial statement, but sometimes people who are not diagnosed, even though they tried to get a diagnosis, or maybe because getting a diagnosis is actually really resource intensive, not just like money wise, but also just energy and like sometimes yeah, I think it is good to get a diagnosis if you are autistic, but sometimes it's not that clean cut. And I think sometimes people, they know they're autistic, but they just haven't gotten the formal diagnosis. And so people say, oh, you're self diagnosed. And it's like, well, not necessarily. Because if you're autistic, it doesn't matter if you're diagnosed or not. Now, if you have like higher support needs, then a diagnosis is required. But not everybody who's autistic has high support needs. Some people are able to thrive and become like CEOs of like Fortune 500 companies. Okay, like being autistic is not in and of itself a disability. What becomes a disability is when, because of your autism, you have failed to develop to a high enough level to be able to navigate life in certain aspects, where you need additional resources or you will suffer. And that's where I am. That's why I have this housing resource. That's why I have all these people helping me. Like that's just how it goes. Yeah, I don't know. See, it's ideas are cheap. An idea like, let's make 100% autism production that's like The Office. Oh, so you mean The Office? You have a friend that is quite sure they're neurodivergent and they research about that. I think when you're not able to get professional support, trying to support yourself by learning about it. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's how it starts, is you need to start and be your own. And also, you have to be your own advocate. I know it's kind of messed up, but I would not have gotten all the support that I've had if I didn't advocate for myself in such an inhuman way. Like, I have advocated for myself more than I ever thought possible. And I had to, unfortunately. If we were in a perfect system, I'd be able to get all the help that I needed without really having to try so hard. I suffered for 7 years before I got out of that trailer. And I had been living in that trailer for, at that point, 5 years. And I have been struggling as an adult for the past 20 years. Hey, Mohammed, welcome back. Glad to see you. You've been asking me to go live again. Yeah, I was just talking about how I have been really struggling to go live, but it's important that I do, because I need to maintain contact with my identity as a performance artist, as a content creator. And even if I'm not making absolute top tier content, even if I'm just hanging out in my pajamas, chatting with you, playing a video game that nobody cares about, except for the people who play it, who really care about it. Final Fantasy 11 is such a niche. Nobody cares about it, except the people who do care about it so immensely. Like, it's such a niche. Your above content was... trying to support yourself by learning about what you might struggle with. Okay. Yeah, everybody should learn about what they're struggling with, even if you're not autistic. Like, I think understanding is really what opens doors for people. It's not about this like woke stuff. A lot of people get really messed up about they get it twisted about like, oh, this is stupid because it's woke. It's like, no, it's woke as a side effect. Whatever you think woke means, I know that it's kind of, mental illness that people call stuff woke, but it's because they're not willing to understand it. They think something must be fake. They think something must be like stupid because they don't put the time and effort to actually understand something. It's because they have a mental illness. It's easier to hate something than it is to understand something. So it makes them a loser, to be honest. If somebody hates something because they think it's woke, well, is it actually woke, or are you just so unwilling to do the effort of understanding something that you're incapable of anything but hatred? It's the most unintelligent thing you could do, is to, instead of understanding something, immediately jumping to hatred. That is like the most ignorant, lazy, unintelligent thing that you can possibly do. It takes very little effort to understand something. You just have to listen. Like it's like the lowest effort you can possibly have to have empathy. But some people are incapable of it. This is Final Fantasy XI on HorizonXI. Do you have a Steam account? Yes, but I don't really share it with people. You can go to HorizonXI.com and you can read the rules, and you can download the installer and make an account. You have to make an account on the website, but read the rules because they have very specific rules. There are things in this game that if they didn't have these rules, you would of course do them because it would be better. But they have to make these rules because if it's the best thing to do, everyone would do it. And it would ruin the game, which is what happened in so many different iterations of this game, is you allow one little quality of life thing that everybody thinks they want. And then as soon as you do that, it opens the floodgates to complete MMO death. Because what makes an MMO isn't having endless quality of life. What makes an MMO is that there is an illusion of progress, that there is a sense of community, that there's a reason to do things. If there's no reason to do it, everyone's just going to do the easy one. Dual boxing is the number one thing that if you don't do it, you're at a disadvantage. If you had multiple accounts, you could do significantly more content. Obviously, you'd want to do it. But if you do that, if everybody is dual boxing, the game's going to be dead. Because everyone's going to be off doing their own thing. They're going to be like only paying attention to what they need. They're not going to want to help anybody. Anybody who's not doing it is then going to be forced to do it. And it's just going to feed itself. It's going to become this endless cycle of, because it's the best thing to do, you have to do it. Because now there's nobody left to do it the normal way. So Horizon has fixed this fundamentally by making it a absolutely not allowed fundamental rule of the server is that there's no dual boxing. One character per account. One character per person. Like you can have 3 characters, but they're in the same account and it's for the one person. And obviously, yeah, there's going to be people who try to trick them, but they're going to get banned, and it's a lifetime ban. So they're playing with fire if they're trying to do it. And in my opinion, that's just stupid. You're wasting your time, so why would you do it in the first place? Like, you'd be spending like a year playing your characters, they find out you're dual boxing, now you're permanently gone. You can't play your characters anymore. You put a year of effort into those characters. Like, you're a loser. Go play on a different server that allows that. This server specifically sets the rule of no dual boxing because all of us, when we first play, maybe not all of us, but everyone who had the capability had at least 2 accounts where they had 2 characters. that were helping each other. And if they weren't, it was like your brother's account, and you would share accounts because you'd be like, hey, like, let me run my white mage over and heal myself, which comes to a second rule. They nerfed power leveling. You can, first of all, it's against the rules, but also they made it so that if you do heal somebody while they're in combat and you're higher level, it's going to hurt their experience. They're not going to get any experience. So it's going to nerf it anyway, but it's actually against the rules of power leveling. You can heal people in between fights. They allowed that, but you have to be able to complete the fight yourself or with your group, because that's the whole integrity of the game, is that you're a adventurer going through the game with other people to fight monsters and take on challenges. That's the fundamental part of what makes this a game. Everybody, if it's a sandbox, it's just sand in a box. But if you set restrictions, that's what turns it into a game. The game of chess isn't the game of chess because it's a board and wooden pieces. It's a game of chess because we have assigned value to those pieces. We have assigned identity to those squares. We have assigned rules. You can't put your king into check. You can't castle through check. You can't, like, we put all those rules, and that's what makes it the game. If you take away those rules, you delete the game. And it's hard for people to understand this because all they think about is like, but why can't I have a second character? It would be so much easier. I could teleport myself. I could go, I could go out farming and then bring my character over and then put all my items in the inventory and then warp back on that character to sell those. Like, obviously, nobody is saying those are bad things, that they would not be good. But that's specifically why they don't allow it, because it's so good that it would lead to an eventual collapse of the entire system. And it has, historically, every single iteration of the game. That is what killed it. It wasn't anything. It wasn't even RMT. Like, RMT actually, I would say, are like a backbone of retail. It's bad, but it's like, you're not going to get rid of RMT. But the thing is, you can at least enforce it. And Horizon, the developers, the staff, they strictly enforce these things compared to retail. Square Enix does not enforce anything. Retail is like the Wild West, okay? Like, it is basically, you're basically in like God mode. You're basically a developer if you play retail. You have so much access to quality of life things that are not going to be punished or are actively encouraged. They don't necessarily encourage all these tools, but they don't, unless you're like doing extreme RMT behavior, they will not enforce it. And it's unfortunate that the state of the game is that way, but retail, that's the current state of the game. People will make like 6 or 18 accounts, even if they're spending money on it. So, it's crazy. But people will spend money on 6 accounts. I know, because my brother does. To play on, and it's not even like, it's not against the rules. Like, that's literally like, you have 6 accounts. So, but the thing is they don't enforce that. So people are going to do it. And because people do it, it has turned into the game that it is today, which is a game that not many people really enjoy. It's dead. You run around. There's absolutely nobody running around. You don't see other players. You don't interact with other players. You might interact with people in the shout, in the shout chats, but it's like, you're basically just asking like, hey, I need to do this thing. Okay, let's do the thing. And then as soon as they're done, they leave the party and you never see them again. That's not really what an MMO is supposed to be. Like, they were all designed as like, hey, this is a world that we can inhabit together. And we can interact and achieve goals together. God damn it, I'm not making that charm. You have to go. Well, thanks for stopping by, Serenade. Nobody put voice like you? Well, I don't know about that. How the hell am I am I mischarming this easy prey? What the hell? I mean, I guess it is a level 9, but I even have my charisma food on. Come on. There we go. So, like, that's basically the philosophy behind Horizon, is that they have to enforce these rules. People don't understand them, but it doesn't matter if they don't understand it. The only thing that matters is that the developers understand it, and I understand it. I'm not one of the developers, but I don't even know if I would want to be. I just want to enjoy the game, and that's perfectly fine. That's why they do this, because they love this game. And a lot of people love this game, but not everybody's willing to go through the effort to create the environment that will facilitate the love of that game. Most people in the other private servers, they'll start giving all sorts of little custom quality of life things from retail. Or they'll allow, like, at least one other account. Like, Nosomi allows 2 accounts. But even he hated that he did that. Because for the exact reasons that I outlined. Once you start allowing people to have more than one account, there's zero reason to interact with other players, and there's never a reason not to do it, so therefore every player will have to do it. Because if nobody is there to interact with them in the intended way of playing the game, then you're going to have to make a second account to make up for it, which is going to further entrench people in that system. And some people enjoy that, and that's fine. They can go play on that server. Horizon exists specifically so that we can have the game that we love, that we thought it should be, the game that we believed it would become, the game that we all fell in love with. Go see the 3 comment. Looking forward to more of your streams. Well, thank you. I just read that comment. You want to see the gameplay? Don't you see it? Oh! Wait, what? I am showing the gameplay. What? Don't you see it on my stream? It's above me on the vertical stream. And it's showing on the full screen on my horizontal stream. I don't know what you're talking about. Mohammed, are you a bot? Don't lie to me. Some of your comments, I'm like, you're asking me things that's like you've already asked. And I've already answered. You're saying things that don't make sense. You have a lot of confusion in the game. Like, well, basically, this game is Final Fantasy XI. This is a level 75 cap server called Horizon. Their goal is to create all content at the level 75 version of the game, with the balance that came with that version of the game during Era, the original release. The game changed over time, and they're trying to correct that, because the game that has become today in current retail is an abomination, and I don't say that lightly. It really is an abomination. Now, it is a fun game, but it's hard to really get into it. You have to spend, like, I would say at least like a year of playtime before you even get to start the game. And I'm not saying that like in hyperbole. Like, there is so much stuff to do in preparation, and it's just endless grind. And yeah, you could probably do it faster if you had 6 accounts. That's what I'm trying to say. That's the whole reason. Because if you don't have 6 accounts, there's going to be nobody to play with you. It's going to be you and trusts. But you can't do all the content with trusts. You need other players. And since the other players, because the game has fostered a community of people who play with themselves, then there's nobody to play with. And so it's kind of created, it's like they want you to play as a community, but they've taken away and stripped down all of the mechanisms that make a community possible. So it's a situation that's really messed up. A third comment? I don't know what you said. It's free in Steam. Oh, Cry of Fear? I'm sorry, I'm not going to play that. I'm not sponsored. I'm going to play this. This is Final Fantasy XI, HorizonXI. The basic premises of the game is that you are an inhabitant of Vanadil. You're an adventurer. You can start out as one of 6 classes. They call them jobs. You can play warrior, monk, white mage, black mage, red mage, or thief. They all have every job in the game. There are also more advanced jobs that you unlock later on, level 30, with quests. Jobs like paladin or ninja. Beastmaster is one of those. The one I'm playing right now, where I charm pets, and I can use the pets like Pokemon to fight for me, or along with me, depending on the situation. And every job starts out pretty weak, and you fight monsters, you gain experience, you level up. As you level up, you can have access to more equipment, more gear that does more stuff, that gives you more ability to play well. That is hand-tailored to supplement your class. For example, now I can wear my charm gear with charisma. So now it's going to be easier for me to charm monsters. Charm is how you get the pets. They do get jug pets at level 24, which is you can summon a pet with an item. They are slightly weaker than monsters that you could potentially charm, but it gives you options that you normally wouldn't have, because some areas there's no monsters to charm. So you use jug pets instead. Final Fantasy XI is a very complex game. It is not hard, it's just complex. So there's a lot of little teeny tiny things that you have to just play to find out. And if you join Horizon, there is going to be no shortage of people willing to help you. You will find people who are going to teach you how to play. And all you have to do is be willing to try. That's the spirit of Horizon. That's the spirit of Final Fantasy XI. This is the best version of the game that has ever existed throughout its entire history, ever since release. And there is by far no other way of obtaining what we have here on Horizon other than strict enforcement of some very non-negotiable situations, such as no dual boxing, no power leveling, other than, you know, some situations where you can heal people between fights. But even that is like, that's okay. True power leveling is really where you're going to get the most exploitation, and they don't allow that. In order to actually, for your team to be able to defeat the monsters, they need a high level people carrying them. That completely undermines the intention of the game. The intention of the game isn't to get some level 75 completely healing everybody to full health and tanking the monster while everyone does like 2 damage to it. Okay, that is not the way that the developers truly meant the game to be played. Well, good night, Mohammed. Another one is like, yeah, no dual boxing, because otherwise, why would you not dual box? You have to set that restriction. You have to enforce that restriction, because if you don't, obviously everyone's going to do it. Maybe not everyone, but everybody's going to do it. Trust me. It's what happened in Nasomi, and it's why Nasomi kind of died off, in my opinion. It's still alive. I don't play there anymore. I play here. There's a reason. It's because you can actually go into a town and you see people shouting for adventures. You're supposed to be an adventurer, teaming up with other adventurers. That is the intention. And that is what they've accomplished here. Very much so. Because if there's any piece of content that I need, all I have to do is go into town, send out a /yell, and try to find people to do it with. And hopefully find some people to do things with long term. Like I have a link shell, and yeah, here's the thing about guilds and link shells that I've learned. I learned this through, actually I learned this mostly through World of Warcraft. It's not the guild that makes the guild. It's the fact that it's almost like you don't need a guild if you're doing it right. It's players that you continually play with and you trust each other, that basically the guild is just making it easier to contact each other. You can talk to each other without using individual private messages. Like, it's really like making a guild. This is why I don't really like, I'm not a huge fan of like guilds where they invite every single new player, because you don't know who those people are. You've never teamed up with those people. And yeah, it's good to it's a good way to kind of try to meet new players. It's getting started. But in my opinion, those link shells, those guilds, they don't do really well, because you get a lot of people, you get people who are very crude or bigoted. You're supposed to report, bigoted behavior here, but it's not allowed here. But like on World of Warcraft, you're going to get people who are like, all sorts of different characters over there. We don't need to get into it, but how are you supposed to really be friends with people if it's just you're inviting every single player? You don't know who those people are. You don't know what they're capable of. You don't know if they're trustworthy. I think a true guild is one that's built organically, where you group up with these people over time. And eventually you find out that, hey, we're always doing stuff every day. Why not just start a guild with each other? And it starts with just like a few people. And then you find more people that kind of naturally fit into that group. I feel like those are the best guilds, and in my opinion, because a lot of people are like, oh, this is a newbie-friendly guild. That's fine. But in my opinion, those really aren't the kind of guilds that you stick around in. Not all the time. Maybe sometimes if you're lucky, but at the very least, you're going to meet people that might become your future guild mates, which is why I think that they matter. I do think that those new adventurer guilds can be useful in the sense that it's a way to introduce yourself to other people and at least give you the opportunity to make new friends in the game. There's certain other rules that I think, the biggest ones are no dual boxing, no power leveling, no hatred, no bigotry, all that kind of stuff. That's really important, because there's a lot of weird characters on the internet, okay? Like, come on. And it's not even about, this is kind of what I was talking about when people are like, oh, go woke, go broke, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, it's not even about whatever you might think woke is or whatever. Yeah, and for some people, yeah, it's about diversity and all that, but it's not diversity for the sake of diversity. It's diversity for the sake that these people exist in the community, and to ignore them is to ignore reality. There are people that are different. Deal with it. Grow the fuck up. You're not gay? I get it. No one's trying to make you gay. You're not trans? Good. It's good that you know who you are. Nobody's trying to force you to be trans. Nobody's trying to force you to be gay. There are people who are black. There are people who are Mexican. There are people who have different religious beliefs than you. Deal with it. Grow the fuck up. Stop being a little bitch. These people are very ignorant. They're very stupid. They're very unwilling to do the bare minimum work of trying to understand somebody who's different than them. And instead of actually dealing with it, they go crying on the internet saying, oh, everything's woke now. Everything's woke now. Oh, boo-hoo, little baby. Go cry to your Voldemort, okay? Jesus fucking Christ. And you know what? He probably doesn't even like you. He's probably even pretending because he knows it makes him money, because he knows suckers like you see him as an idol. And he's smart, and he's going to capitalize on it. You know, you think of that what you will. I think that's kind of slimy, but he's a cockroach king, right? He's going to be cockroaching. Why would you, like, duh? Like, why would you fault the cockroach for being a cockroach? It doesn't mean you have to be one. It doesn't mean you have to see him as your idol because, oh, he believes in the same things I do. What if he doesn't? What if he just is doing it because it makes him money? Because people like you see him as a god. Like, I feel like there's no lower stature in life than you can have than being one of his like followers. You're trying to be like him. He already knows. He's already said nobody should be like him. He is the worst. He's deliberately the worst. I'm pretty sure that's his brand. Like, he's just made this into his identity as a performer. And you can think about that what you will. Maybe he believes the things he says. Maybe he doesn't. I have no way of knowing. Maybe he's so good at being a performer that it's actually not even aligned with who he is as a person. He just does it because it makes him a lot of cash. Which, that's a, you know, it's like a cockroach type behavior, but, like, come on. like, you know, I'm not going to fault a cockroach for being a cockroach, you know. It doesn't mean I have to, you know, be a cockroach breeder, okay? Like, you know, it doesn't mean I have to, like, have one as a pet, okay? Like, come on. I get tired of the kind of things people like that say. I get tired of the things that these people complain about, because they're literally just crying about things on the internet. Oh, boo-hoo! This is supposed to be a white male-dominated space. Why is everyone trying to make this diverse? Why is everyone hurting my safe space? Like, fuck off, bro. Spoiler, you know, like, I hate to burst your bubble, but the internet was not created as your personal playground. Just because you believe it to be doesn't make it true. Just because at the beginning of the internet, people like you thrived, and we're the only people you think that you own the internet. Nobody does. Yeah, like, yeah, okay, maybe some oligarchs. Let's not get into that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the community space. The internet is inherently community driven. And if you're a part of the community that nobody wants around because you're causing destruction, because you're hateful, you're making people uncomfortable, and you just want things to go back to the way they were, well, then maybe you should get off the internet. Because the internet used to be for people like you, and at least in your head. And because now you're seeing more diversity, you think that it means that the internet is being ruined. Boo-hoo, little baby. Jesus Christ, bro. So egotistical. Like, that's so, like, self-centered. You think that you're the most important person on the internet. You think you're the default. You think you're normal. You think everyone else is just visiting. You think that you're the one who gets to say what gaming culture is. You think you're the one who gets to decide who is woke and who isn't. Like, you're mentally ill, and you get affirmed by other mentally ill people. You're in an echo chamber, and you think that just because people agree with you, that makes you right. But obviously, if a crackhead likes crack, and you are a crackhead, and you like crack, then a crackhead is going to say that crack is good. And you're going to believe them. Like, okay, like just put it in perspective, buddy. You're not that special. You're not the default. Just because a lot of people agree with you doesn't make you the only voice, doesn't make you the majority, doesn't make you the only opinion, doesn't make you right. It just means people agree with you. That's all it means. And truth and justice is not based on feelings. It's based on, are people being harmed? Are people being, are there people being disproportionately advantaged compared to other people because of a system that is designed that benefits the people who have access to these resources? There are certain people who don't have access to the same resources as you do, specifically because of the way they were born, because of whether they were born into a certain demographic, whether or not they were black or Mexican or an immigrant or gay or trans. And they have very different needs than you. And just because you think that you're the only normal person does not mean that you are the only normal person. Because these people are normal too, but the systems in place is set up for people who have actual access to the resources. If you can't even reach the freezer, how are you supposed to get the ice cream? Looking extra cute? Aw. Yeah, I mean, if you can't even reach the freezer, how are you supposed to get the ice cream? You know, it's like, oh, and then you're complaining about the people who need a step stool. Oh, dude, I don't need a step stool, and you're like 10 feet tall. Everyone else is like not even, it's like a 12-foot tall freezer. You're 10 feet tall, and you're kicking all the people who are like 5 feet tall. Like, come on. Like, what is wrong with you? And this person profits off of this persona he's created for himself. And I think the problems that people have with this individual are not necessarily the things that he exhibits, because I think those are a performance that he's putting on. I think this individual is putting on this performance, and what makes him a problem is that the people who watch him and the people that he's profiting off of do not understand that it's a performance. And he's enabling these people to become these absolute, like, destructive forces on the planet. And if you're doing things that are causing evil things to happen, how can you argue that you're not evil? And it's okay if you're, like, you know, accept that that's what you're doing, but don't pretend that that's not what you're doing. Like, you can't have both, buddy. Like, either be a villain or accept that you have some changes to make. Like that's all there is. And I just, you know, I'm kind of sick and tired of seeing this individual. I block this person every time I see him on my feed. He keeps coming back because he's a goddamn cockroach, because he is an algorithm bottom feeder. And whatever you think about this individual, the actual problems that this person has are not the surface level things, because the surface level things are bad, but it's actually worse than that. And it's like people have been trying to help this individual. I have absolutely no way to help this individual. People in his private life have tried to help him. I don't even know if there is any helping him. But I like to think that, you know, see the best in people. And I have to believe that forgiveness is possible. I have to believe that it's possible for people to make changes. Because if I didn't believe it for other people, how could I believe it for myself? And because I'm a different kind of person than this individual might be. And, you know, the fact that everyone knows what I'm talking about is kind of like, you know, says a lot. Like, everybody knows the individual I'm talking about. I haven't even said his name, and everybody knows who I'm talking about. And he gets off on that. Like, he really does. He's created this persona. He's been on the internet as long as I have. And he understands how people think on the internet. And he capitalizes on it big time. And it's just like, well, you could say that I've failed as a content creator, as a performance artist, because I haven't, you know, become a bottom feeder I haven't been successful in what he achieved. But for someone like me to do what he did is impossible, because I'm the kind of person that people that are on the bottom absolutely loathe. You know, I'm a woman, first of all, but I'm also a trans woman, and these people hate trans people, and these people hate women, which is ironically pretty gender affirming, because the way they treat me is the way they treat other women. The way they talk about me, the way they think of me, it's the same way they think of all women. So I don't know if there's any argument for why trans women are women other than that, which is kind of, I have mixed feelings about that, but it's a little bit upsetting, but you know, that's just how reality is. And I didn't become I didn't transition just to get perks of being a woman, okay? This wasn't for social perks. Okay, this isn't like joining like a you know, frequent flyer miles, you know, special club of like, you know, become a member of like an airport, you know, like an airline. Okay, like so you could get access to the private member clubs. Okay, the only thing that makes it private is that you paid a membership. Okay, who are you talking? I have no idea. There's some individual on the internet that is like a bottom feeder that either is completely unaware of reality or knows reality so well that he's taken advantage of it in probably one of the most evil ways, and then tries to pretend that he's not evil. It's like, dude, if you're going to be evil, be evil. Don't pretend you're not. In fact, I think that's worse, because now it's like maybe he actually doesn't know. And that's scary. That there's an individual with this many followers, with this much influence on the algorithm, who is just perpetuating the absolutely most vile demographic on the internet possible. Like the Nazis, the people who like seeing people get killed, the people who hate people because they're Jewish, because they're gay, because they're trans, because they're black. Like, these are the people who want to see the world burn, and this person is propagating these people and enabling them and lifting them up, and then pretending not to be evil. You still draw? I have not been able to draw. I've really been like trying to reset my entire nervous system this past month and a half that I've moved here, Serby. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening to me, because I've never been in this situation before. I've never been in a situation where my life's going to be okay. I've never been in a situation where I'm protected, where I'm not going to be homeless. I've never had to fight. I've never had to be in a situation where I don't have to constantly fight for survival. And it scares me. And it's doing something to me that I don't think I fully anticipated. And I think it's going to be okay. But it's going to take me time to get into a rhythm. For now, I'm just playing some Final Fantasy XI. Because it's grounding, it's very meditative, it's something I'm very competent with. May not be the best player, but I'm at least competent in the game. I understand how the game works. I understand how to play the game. It's a level of like, it's a W. When I play the game, I know how to succeed. I know what I'm doing. I know how to make macros. I know how the mobs work. I know what aggro's sound. I know what aggro's sight. I know, like, you know, I know how to use the allowed add-ons. You know, like I know how to do everything. I may not know how to do every single piece of content, but I know how the fundamental mechanics of the game work. And it's it's an activity where I can engage in it and be competent. And I think it's building like a resilience of like routine. And so it's what I've been doing lately. I haven't been able to really do any. I want to get back into doing some drawing. I particularly want to get into painting, because now I have more space for it. but I'm not quite ready. And most people who've been here for a while might be frustrated with this, but it's just kind of how I work. I take a long time to do things that most people probably could do relatively quickly. Like, it takes me a long time to adjust to things. And people think that I'm just lazy, or they think that I'm making excuses, and I assure you that's not the case. It's because I'm autistic. And I need people to respect that. It's not something I can do anything about. The only thing I can do is what I I'm trying to figure out what works best. Because I don't want to, like, I have goals I want to achieve in this lifetime. And I don't want to miss out on those goals just because of my developmental disorder. I want to achieve these things. I want to find ways to work around them. And for now, I don't have to figure that out. I need to take time. Oil painting? Yeah, I wanted to do oil painting, but I do have a lot of acrylics I wanted to use. I think acrylics would be a good starting point, because oil painting is a lot of preparation I'm not quite ready for. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, I don't have to go all the way to oil painting. I can do like a compromise, which is not really like a compromise in like the terrible way. It's like, you know, hey, like, let's just stage the process. You know, drawing using pencil or pen, using acrylics, using watercolors. They take less preparation than oil painting. Oil painting requires a lot more ventilation. Oil painting requires a lot more cleanup. Oil painting involves, like, I have to get like paint thinner. Like there's all sorts of stuff like that. And I have the oils, I have the brushes, but you know, I also have acrylics. And acrylics require a lot less setup for it's a similar exercise. It's using, you know, blending techniques, paint, you know, brush techniques. It's like the same techniques with less preparation. I'm getting a... Yeah, sorry, I got like a scam call. Yeah, I've just, I don't know who I'm trying. I think mostly it's like I'm trying to, like, I do this thing where I have to have a narrative. Even if, like, other people understand things, I have to understand it. I'm saying it for me. So I'm saying it for the stream, but mainly I don't think people are confused. I think people totally understand. I think people totally get what I'm going through and aren't holding it against me and aren't expecting me to do things I can't do. I think I'm mainly talking to myself. Like, I think first and foremost, the reason why I say these things so many times is because I don't know how to believe them. I don't know how to believe that I'm capable of things. And so the way I've learned how to become capable of things is I kind of have to hype myself up. You got your bottom surgery 3 weeks ago? Oh my God! Let's go! Let's fucking go! Serby! Serby! Are you serious? Oh my God! Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Let's go! I love to hear that. I'm glad, you know, when people, especially people in my chat, have good things happen to them, it gives me hope. You know, like I had to believe hope for myself. And when I see other people able to have that hope and able to achieve their success, Like, this is what it's all about. Like, that's why we do everything that we do, in my opinion. I mean, at least that's like, I think like that's like the value of what we do. It's a lot of the times it's invisible because, you know, sometimes bad things happen, sometimes good things happen, and sometimes we misattribute good things or bad things to a personal failing. And sometimes bad things happen just because the time, you know, the situation is like, you know, the requirements weren't met in that exact moment, or, you know, like all sorts of different things can influence an outcome of something. But I think like when we see somebody succeed, it's like, hey, this is a proof of concept that it's possible for good things to happen in my life, and good things are happening in your life, and I'm happy to hear it. And I do have a hard time. I don't think it's lack of I don't think it's narcissism. I don't think it's lack of empathy. I have a hard time reacting to other people's news the way I think everyone's like this. I mean, I don't know why I'm talking about it, but like I'm reacting to your news with enthusiasm. I don't know. I don't. There's this weird thing where I blame myself for not caring as much as I did about, like, when I had my bottom surgery, I was much more enthusiastic. I'm very enthusiastic for you, but you know, it's like, I think that's just natural. Like, I love to hear it, and I am happy, and I am enthusiastic, because that is good. You know, people in the trans community right now, especially, are struggling to get these surgeries. And when I see somebody succeed, when I saw myself succeed, I think it gives hope to the rest of the community. That, hey, this thing that we think is impossible, it's possible. And it might be hard, and it might require things that we don't even, like, we've never really been able to achieve these things before. And for every individual, it's like going to be different. It's going to be a different set of circumstances, a different set of challenges, a different set of like pieces of the puzzle that need to be manipulated in order for this thing to happen. And I don't know how to solve that problem for everybody, and I wish I could. And I think it's ridiculous if I expect myself to. I can't get every single trans person their surgery. Like, I'm not even in the medical field or in the insurance field. Even if I was, I'd only be one person, one cog in the machine, okay? How could I... That's a ridiculous expectation. Oh, I'm a trans person. I need I need to do something to make the whole community have the kind of success I had. That's ridiculous. That's like so much ego if I would expect myself to be able to even possibly remotely do that. That's ridiculous. But what I can do is I can show people that it's at least possible. And every other person that shows it's possible adds to that evidence. And the more people achieve this success, the more likely other people are going to achieve this success. Because a lot of the times, achieving the success is more about hope and the willingness to go on than anything else. Because a lot of it is just, it's almost like a prison sentence inside of your own body. Hey, thanks for the follow, Yeehaw. Yeehaw, stanky. Yeah. Thanks for the follow, Yeehaw, stanky. Let's go. That's an awesome name, by the way. Oh my god. Yeehaw, stanky. I don't even know what that is. The wooka wooka. Serby, all of that, what I was trying to say was that I'm so fucking happy for you, and take the time and to rest, to recover, follow your doctor's instructions to the fucking T. And don't do what I did. Don't accidentally dilate the wound, please. That hurt really bad because there's a vulva wound from the vulvoplasty portion, and it's not your vagina. I learned that the hard way. It hurt. Okay. Yeehaw, Stanky! Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know I don't stink. I took a shower yesterday. And all my clothes are clean. Oyasu-na-sai. Good night, Serby. Yeah, it's much harder. Take the time to rest. Do whatever you have to do. Drink plenty of water, get plenty of protein. All the stuff that your doctor probably talked about, but also you kind of got to do more than your doctor asked you to. I know your doctor has like a minimum set of requirements. I would highly recommend going above and beyond, like being extra careful, being extra diligent, being like more than your doctor requires, because it's your vagina, like, right? So it's not your doctor's, it's yours. Like, your doctor is going to give you the minimum, and you should do the minimum, but maybe try to do extra. Like, hey, like, drink plenty of water, get plenty of protein, dilate, the 4 times a day, that your doctor asked you to do. I unfortunately was only, partly because I had been dilating the wrong hole. I was dilating less often. Like 3 instead of 4, or sometimes only 2. But it's actually kind of good, because if I was misdilating, then I'm glad I didn't dilate the wound more. So, I guess it worked out. Then he had to show me where my goddamn vagina was. It was so swollen. This might be a little bit gross for some viewers, but I'm going to talk about it. My pussy was so fucking swollen. I didn't even know where the vagina was. Like, I've never had one before at that point. So, and it's because it was so swollen from surgery. Like, I didn't know where the entrance was. He had to help me find it. Like I'm like, oh, that's the vagina. I know it sounds weird, but it's not obvious. Like, it sounds like it would be so obvious, but it's actually not. I didn't realize there was another hole that was from a wound. Everything ended up fine, and I did everything the doctor said. After, we corrected it, and it's fine. And in some ways, it may have even helped me, but I would not recommend doing it. Yeah, don't risk losing everything you worked for. That's what I was afraid of. I was so afraid. I was like, did I just ruin everything? Did I destroy my life? And it's like, okay, the doctor was like, you're fine. And I'm like, okay, that's reassuring that the doctor is that blasé about it. That's really reassuring, actually. But then I still had to follow everything he said. Like, it wasn't bad yet. But it would have if at that point I continued to misdilate, But we corrected it, and that's what matters. And I'm going to stop talking about this very uncomfortable topic. It was a very, very scary and painful moment, and I don't want it to see it happen to you. So do everything you possibly can to do things the exact way your doctor wants you to. And if at all possible, within reason, try to be even better than what your doctor is going to give you a minimum, as long as you're not shirking the minimum and as long as you're not doing anything bad, like things that you might think are good but actually aren't. Like obviously talk to your doctor about it, but you need to actually have the conversation with your doctor. Your doctor is basically going to give you all the details you need, but they might give you more details if you investigate. They're just not all. Their job is to make sure that you're not missing anything. But there might be things that are a little bit like more like min-max that they may not communicate because they're more focused on making sure you don't screw everything up. But if you go above and beyond, they're going to be happy to talk to you about what else you can do. There's like so many things you can do. You can also like, research about it, because there's more to surgery recovery than that specific surgery. There's a general like advice on what to do while recovering from any surgery. Like if it's heart surgery, if it's like knee replacement, if it's hip replacement, there's just in general stuff that we can do to make our body recover better from surgery. And it has nothing to do with whether or not it's a vaginoplasty. It's just general knowledge. And if you can research that, it might be stuff that your surgeon won't really volunteer until you talk to him or her about it. Because like I said, their job is to make sure that you don't screw it up. But I feel like being an active part of the recovery, being an active part of the relationship between the patient and the doctor, it's, I would say, just as important as the doctor, if not more important, because it's your surgery, it's your outcome. You should have a vested interest in it. And yeah, it's good to listen to your doctor. That's the bare minimum. But there might be more you could do. And your doctor might not volunteer those things because their primary focus is to deliver you the absolutely necessary things. And you'd probably be surprised how many people don't even do that because they're not able to listen to what their doctor asks of them. Unfortunately, I don't really want to get into it because it's kind of a negative conversation. I don't generally like having negative conversations. I don't think most people do, but basically, yeah, you'd think that some things are common knowledge, but you'd be surprised. Just for one, this is all I'm really going to say. There are people who don't realize that the surgery is irreversible. That sounds like common sense to me, that most people would know that. But there are some people, I would not say the majority, there's got to be some people, at least like one or two, that didn't know that. And so the doctor had to, the doctor has to communicate that. Or, like, not only would they be risking getting in trouble, getting sued, it would be bad for the patient. If the patient truly didn't know that, they should know that before they make a decision. So, like, I'm not going to judge someone for not knowing something, but that one seems pretty obvious to me. Am I going to get canceled for saying that? Like, that seems pretty obvious to me. Like, you're literally changing a penis into a vagina. That sounds pretty irreversible, but some people don't know that. That's a shocker to me. Like, I thought that was common knowledge. That's like the whole purpose we get it is because it's irreversible. It's like a feature. It's like the primary reason we get it is because it can't be undone. Like, but I guess there's some people that aren't aware of that. So I'm not going to be judgmental. I'm not going to call them stupid. But, it's good that doctors bring this stuff up. Because there might be people who don't know that. And if, a doctor's job is to make sure that before someone goes in for surgery, especially a surgery as, permanent and life-changing as this, that they know all the details, and doctors do that. And so that's like, really good that we have caring doctors. Doctors who don't judge, who don't call people stupid for not knowing what I would assume to be common knowledge. That's the difference between me and a doctor. A doctor is ethical and understands, hey, like some patients might not know this. And even though I think that everybody knows it, I'm going to have to operate on a level where there's the potential that someone might not. And that's pretty awesome that doctors are like this, because this is such a big ordeal, and so much of us are in so much agony over gender dysphoria related things. Sometimes we overlook things, or we don't research everything. I'm kind of a freak of nature. I research things like for years because I'm like autistic. So like I was like researching every single goddamn detail I possibly could find about this surgery, and other people's experience, and I cross-referenced them, and like, I was going above and beyond. I feel like everybody could benefit from that, but like, hey, not everybody's going to have the capacity for that. And honestly, I probably would have been okay without it, but I was just like, hey, this is so important. I don't want to screw this up. I wanted to make sure I went into it knowing everything I possibly could. And I don't think that people should get denied the surgery for not doing that. But there is like a bare minimum. Like, hey, like at least you should be able to know what you're getting yourself into, and like what the complications can be, like what the risks are of like, all that kind of stuff, because it is non-zero. But so are like knee replacement surgery. Doctors do the same thing for people getting knee replacements. Like knee surgery is one of the highest regret rates of any surgery. And there's a reason. It's because you could permanently lose your ability to walk and stuff like that. Like there's all sorts of complications that can happen in knee surgery. Some of which, I'm level 15. Jeez. Well, hot damn. We got all the way from level 13 to 15. Now I have reward. I can use pet food. I didn't bring an instant warp though. But I think I do want to take a break. So I'm going to shut down. Well, I had a fun conversation. We talked about a lot of stuff today. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Log out. Gonna take a break. And I'm probably going to later. I'm probably gonna log in later, but I'm not gonna be streaming. Thanks for joining Internal LOL. I think that like I'm approaching like a new part of my life, and I'm learning how things are not always going to be like a giant catastrophe. And it's like really hard for me to understand this. And sometimes I have to do something like play a video game, or just take time to just stare out the window. And like it might seem slow to some people. It might seem like I'm making excuses. It might seem like I'm lazy, but I am just extremely, first of all, I am on the autism spectrum, but on top of that, I'm coming from a lifetime of housing instability, of abusive trauma. And it's hard for me to, like, I have extreme PTSD. It's in my diagnosis, giant list of diagnoses. Okay, like I don't need to get into it. I don't need to talk about all my diagnoses, but it is a reality that I have to deal with. And I'm the kind of person where I deal with reality. I don't pretend that it's not true. I don't act in a way that gives people the appearance of being stronger. I just do what needs to be done. And sometimes that can be hard for people to accept, because some people out there, when they see somebody who doesn't give the appearance of competence, they think that's weakness. And people who matter, they'll see the reality, but there are a lot of people where they see certain behaviors and they attach a different meaning to it because they assume that it means whatever the hell it means in their own mind. And they'll see somebody who's like, oh, you're just sitting around playing video games in your pajamas on live stream on your YouTube. You need to go do something because that's not going to build your career. Like, buddy, stop. Like, come on. Stop. It's getting tiring. Okay, like it's getting old. Okay, like you keep, these people keep thinking. These are people who have been in my personal life. These kind of people. It's like a type of person. This type of person, they see a snapshot of your life and they think they know everything about why you're doing something, what you're accomplishing, and what you think you're accomplishing. They have no idea what they're talking about. They don't have access to the information I have. They don't have access to the data I have. They don't have access to they don't even know what my motivation is. If you don't know what someone's motivation is, you're just guessing. Like, oh, you're doing this because you think you're going to get famous on YouTube. No, that would be delusional. Live streaming a video game that's like 20 years old that barely anybody watches is not going to make me a famous, successful YouTuber. I'm trying to think about something bigger. I'm building myself as a performance artist. Now, that doesn't guarantee success, but what it does is it makes success possible. The way I'm going to make that success, well, that is part of the game, you see. Taking acting classes, being a part of the community, auditioning for things, doing my own work online, even such as YouTube live streaming, as small as it might seem, it is part of the bigger whole. And sometimes we just got to throw things in the hole. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, are you throwing things in your hole? Let me know in the comments. Bye-bye.